for the development. That is the basic known of the Salesforce, right? So this is very important session for both people who are preparing for admin and PD1, as well as all of you who are working as a Salesforce developers and who wants to work as a Salesforce developers. In order to do the work properly, you should understand everything very clear on the automation perspective, right? Those who are about to face the admin examination, you are going to get more question in this area, because this is the core logic implementation area for admin track. And those who are going to face the PD1, you should know what are the automation tools available and what are the situation you are picking the code. Even though you are working on the code, order of the execution is matter. So you should know, if you are writing a trigger, you should know like how and which order your trigger gonna fire. So if there are any awesome automation tool already developed on the particular area when you are writing code to do and some implementation, so you should aware when this gonna fire, when your automation tool gonna fire, and which order your code gonna fire. So that's going to change the functionality for fully, because if the order you are expecting and the order actually happening is mismatched, your process, there's a probability your process might not be 100% accurate, right? So you will expect one result, but actual results will be something else. Okay, those who don't know me, this is me. Actually, I'm working as a tech lead in Virtusa, and I'm a Salesforce certified application architect, and I just hold 13 certifications so far. So I also started like you start with PD1 admin and reached up to this level. So I wish like all of you has to do at least 2 certification in a year. That's something I'm telling to my team at the office, as well as all others who are working, who are willing to join to the Salesforce, right? In terms of Salesforce automation tools. So main Salesforce automation tools, actually your syllabus and everyone focusing on are 4: workflow rule, process builder, approval process, and flow. And this session, I'm going to talk a bit more tools available in Salesforce. So in order to give the full view of the automation tools, as well as prepare you for the exam, right? So in terms of workflow and process builder, I want to make an announcement. Just because you are going to face the exam soon, you have to study about that. But moving forward, Salesforce is going to turn off the workflow rule and process builder. So if your current work projects involving or having workflow rule or process builder, your architects will be moving forward to remove that and change it to flow as Salesforce recommends. But since you are going to face the exam before that change, you should know workflow rule and process builder, as well as when you are working on the conversion of when you are working on the conversion of the workflow rule and process builder to a flow project, that time also you should know how you should understand what is the functionality and how this is working in order to do the conversion, right? So after this change, basically the major process automation tool available for point and click development will be flow. There won't be workflow rule or process builder moving forward, right? So let's start with process builder. So since this is automation tool section, I will take you to the system and explain how to create and those conditions. And as well as I will update the module links to the tracker. So for you to do the trailhead modules. And I strongly prefer to work on create at least workflow rules for each and every scenarios, process builder for each and every scenarios to understand the concept fully. This is not the area just to read and do the exam. This is the more you are doing the hands-on, you will get more knowledge, right? So workflow rule is the simplest process automation tool, which we can use it for creating if else condition, simple if conditions action, right? So in terms of workflow rule, you have to know when to create or when to choose the workflow rule and what is the limitation and consideration and how to monitor. So how the workflow rule gonna work is when the record is getting created or edited, it's gonna fire, and it's going to check the criteria. So if the criteria is matching, let's say if you are creating a case, right? And if your case status is new, you want to send an email to your uh, agent. So the case has to be handled, right? If that is your requirement, so your criteria will be status is equal to new. So when you are creating a case, the workflow is in a system, whatever the workflow for the case object, it's all will get alert and it will check any of the case matching this criteria. The criteria is status is equal to new. If there's a workflow matching this criteria, then that workflow will be triggered. So when it triggered, there are two types of actions you can do it in workflow, not type, you two kind. So one is like immediate action, one is like time dependent action. If it is immediate action, the moment workflow trigger, all the actions will be executed. If it is time dependent action, it will check and it will schedule that action in your workflow schedule. So if you are going to, we have a monitor window I'll be showing when I take you to the system. So you can go there and check what are the actions to be executed. So time dependent action. So let's say if a case is getting created and after 24 hours, if it is still in new status, I want to send a mail to the manager, right? If that is my business scenario, what I'm going to do, the workflow going, okay, the record is going to created, so the workflow going to fire and the criteria is matching, status is equal to new. But after 24 hours only, I have to send the email. So after 24 hours to send the email, there is a action triggered and it will be queued, right? So in the queue, there will be action to send email after 24 hours. If any of the agents update that particular record status to something else, let's say the agent came and okay, this is a new state, so they are working on, they make it in progress. So now the criteria status equal to new is no more valid. So the queue action will be removed from the queue. If it is still valid after 24 hours also, then the action will be fired. That's how the time dependent actions going to work, right? And in terms of consideration of the workflow rule, so we always wonder like the why when we are designing, we always wonder like, do we need to have the time dependent? The reason is like if the system is dealing with 10,000 15,000 cases per day, 10,000 action will be in queue, right? So that kind of performance issue for the system. So because of that, and when we are designing, we have to be very careful. If it is required, then we will do, otherwise we will have to do a batch execution or something which is not queued and which is going to act at that time, right? That's anyway, that kind of considerations are design related considerations. So as a developers or admin, you don't need to worry about that, but something to know for your future, right? So if the criteria is not matched, then record will be get served without executing any action. So the number of workflow rules you are having in your system, the more number you are having for the particular object, the system going to check is any criteria of any of the workflow rules criteria matching, right? So this is again going to have some performance concern. So these are the reason the Salesforce is decided to remove the workflow process builders moving forward, because this is going to cost very performance issues if we have multiple actions or multiple workflow process builder for the object, right? So this is workflow rule. Let me show you process builder also, then I'll take you to the system, right? The next one is process builder. So workflow rule, you can do simple if condition, but process builder you can do if else condition. So just before coming to the process builder, I said you like number of workflow rules per object, it's gonna cost the performance of the system, right? So when it comes to process builder, you can handle if else statements. So if you wanted to have 10 action on one object, So we always prefer go for process builder, don't go for workflow. It can be a small action, but that you have to create 10 workflow rules. Instead of creating 10 workflow rules, you can do it in one process builder, right? That's how we are designing workflow rule of process builder. And there are some other things also a process builder can do, some more as advanced actions. So it can create record, and some of the actions the process builder only can do, not workflow rule. When you are creating, we can see what are the actions, right? Again, here also the immediate action, scheduled action concept is there. Just like workflow rule, the same concept applicable for the process builder also. Only advantage, we can handle multiple if else condition in the process builder, as well as we can do some more advanced actions, right? There's one action only workflow rule can do, not process builder, that is sending outbound message. Those are the things you have to remember for your exams, because as I said you in the first session, there will be 4 answers. Out of that, most of the answers, so 3 answers might be similar to each other, right? So you will be struggling to find the answer if you are remembering the concept very clear, right? And the third process automation tool we are going to see is approval process. So approval process, the term approval process, you all might be familiar with, not with the actual approval process in the Salesforce, right? So what is approval process? Like if you are a university students, you are applying for a leave, right? So your leave, you are sending your leave request to your HOD or your lecturer or someone. So they have to accept or reject. If you are employee, again, you have a leave approval process. You have to apply your leave, and your manager can approve or reject. So we have a special process to handle this approval process. It's Salesforce approval process, right? So if you are designing the approval process from the scratch, obviously it will be a complex system. You have to have different objects. The Salesforce approval process itself handles by the 5 object backend. So you have to design everything, and you have to work with the other automation tools to automate the approval. But without giving that burden to you, Salesforce created an approval process. You just have to point and click to choose the options, right? So when the moment you are submit for the approval, right, for the record, so the record is created. For if I pick an example, you have created a bill, right? You have created a bill, and you have to you expense, you have to submit for the approval, right? So without approval, the account team will not able to pay you back, right? In that case, the moment you create the bill record, you can either submit for approval manually, or else you can automate by using the process builder or code, any of the using the condition, you can submit for the approval. The moment you submit your bill for the approval, it will going to check the entry criteria, right? So mostly in most of the organization, if your entry criteria, if there will be a threshold amount, right? If it is 2,500, so if it is less than 2,500, auto approve. In that case, your criteria will be bill amount is greater than 2,500. So if it is less than, it will be automatically approved. If it is more than 2,500, it's going to submit the approval request for your uh, dedicated approval. It can be your manager or someone you can choose. It can be a queue or group of users, right? Multiple users you can submit for approval at once. So once it's submitted for approval, then there's the option reject or approve. In terms of one-step approval, rejection or approve, it will go to the final approval actions. So the moment you are submitting for the approval, you can define what are the actions you want to do the moment you are submitting for approval, as well as you can define what are the actions you want to do when it's approved or when it rejects. If you have the multi-step approval, upon successful approval of the first step, it will go to the second step. So at the end of, after all the approvals approved only, it will go to the final approval stage. Any of the stage, if it is rejected, it will go to the rejection. And you also has a facility to recall your approval if you feel you wanted to edit it, right? So now the next process automation tool is flow. Since because of the complexity and all, we are going to have a separate session on the flow after this session. So now we will get into the system and see the process builder, workflow, and approval process, and back to the slide. Give me 1 minute. I'm having some difficulties on sharing the screen.
Brenda, any permission issues or? Hello?
No, it's my PC issue.
Okay, fine.
Okay, I think now all of you can see my screen. Yeah. So first of all, we will see the workflow rule. So when you go to system setup, then you can see workflow rule. Right. So once you go to this screen, you can click on new. You can able to see all the workflow rules and the status of that, and what is the object this rule is built for, right? So you can click on new, so you can choose the object. So here I'm going to choose the case object. So we can give a name. Case. So important thing here, the evaluation criteria. When we want this workflow should evaluate. When it's created, or when it's created and every time edited, or when it's created and edited to meet the criteria. So created is straightforward. Whenever the record is created only, you need to fire this, you need to check on this workflow. created and every time edited, and the second and third one has slightly different meaning. So created and every time edited means whatever the update happened to for the particular record, this rule will be checked. The third one, created and anytime edited to meet the criteria if the record is edited and if it is meeting the criteria only, this workflow will be checked. So there are some situations we might need to go for the second option. So most of the time we will go with the third option because that is sufficient for us to perform. Otherwise, every time, whenever the case record is edited, the system going to check on this workflow rule, right? If it is really necessary, then fine. Otherwise, don't go for the second option. So here, when we wanted to run that, right? If we can choose the criteria, or else we can write our formula, whatever the comfortable way you can do is, right? So let's say I'm giving case status equal, okay. It's not. Yep. Equal to new. Right? So you can specify multiple conditions and you can give your logic. It's going to be an and condition or condition or combination of and or. So that's you can write in your logic. Since it's one condition, I'm just going with and. So let me save. Right. So here, this is a screen. We are going to do the immediate action or time dependent action, right? So when we click on the action, you can see if you can create a task or email alert or field update or outbound message, or you can select the existing action. Existing action means, let's say I have a email alert action to send email to the manager, right? So most of the multiple cases I might need to send an email to manager. So what I can do, rather than creating new every time, I can have only one generic email alert action, and I can add it to multiple workflow rule, multiple process builder likewise, right? So that's what existing action. If there's existing action, then we can do it. Similarly, the time dependent. So when it comes to time dependent, you can add the time trigger. So here you can give the rule trigger date or date and time open. So if there are any date field in your record, so you have the option, you can choose them. Otherwise, you can say whenever the rule trigger from that day after 30 days hours before. Likewise, you can choose your options when you wanted to fire it. So the moment you choose the option that time triggered action is time triggered frame is created, then within the frame you can create the action, right? So this is how we are going to create a workflow rule. And the moment you can activate. So the workflow rule you can deactivate and edit, or if you want a similar one you can clone. So you can do all the actions in the workflow rule. So as I mentioned earlier, we can do the simple if condition. So you can have multiple conditions and or, but it should be one if condition. You cannot have if else condition in workflow rule, right? Next one is process builder. So again, in the setup, if you choose the process builder, again, you can have active, inactive. So the versions of the process builders, right? So likewise, you can, let's create a new one. Let's say case update, right? Again, you can choose you want this process builder to trigger a platform event, or you should invoke via the process or record change. So admin people, you can focus only another process builder and record the platform event. I think PD1, those who are going to face PD1, last session we had it for the platform event session and all. So when you next session you will be having this aura and development session. So that time you will be more comfortable how we can combine the events with the process builder and components. Right. Again, similarly, just like workflow rule, you can choose object here. Again, you can choose when it's created or created and edited, right? So now, unlike workflow rule, you can give the third option. You cannot give the third option here. You can give the third option when you're adding the criteria. When you're adding the criteria, you can mark this. You want to execute this action only when specified changes are made or not. If it is not marked, then every time, whenever the update happens for the case object, this will come to this particular criteria. Right? Anybody wants to talk or else be mute? Yeah. Test criteria. If you have any question, you can ask, that's fine, but otherwise be on mute. So you can have the criteria. So again, you can choose conditions are met. Similarly, you can choose status. Here also you can specify and or you can customize your logic with and then or. Right? So here we are going to save. Then you can see the immediate action and the scheduled action. Right? So immediate action you can see. So if you look at the workflow rule, you saw only 4 types of actions, right? And the process builder, you can see more actions. So these actions actually you have to remember for your exam, and you have to know the differences, right? In the process builder, you can call Apex class, you can create record. These things not possible by the workflow rule. You can call the flow, post to chatter, and call the process and quick actions. There are lots of things you can do, submit for approval and all the things. You can do it in process builder, not in workflow rule. But don't worry. So as I mentioned, just because you are going to face the exam, before the change only you have to do everything. So moving forward, nobody wants to create the process builder or workflow rule, because that is going to be get removed from the Salesforce. So we had always, all of us have to use flow instead of this, right? So for the exam, since this all included, we should cover it up. So that's what we are doing. But and again, when you are doing the conversion, you should know. You should know. You should understand the process builder and workflow. That's what we are studying, right? Let's say I have to. Let's say I'm choosing update the record. Update case. So which record? So in the process builder is quite advanced. You can update even your related record. So it's not like only the case. If it is case object, it's not like you have to update only the case object. You can update the related objects field also from the process builder. But when you are performing that kind of action, you should be mindful. If it is really required, do it. Otherwise, you have to avoid, because let's say one example, whenever the case is getting created, you are going to update the particular contact, some field, description field, right? So the contact can be associated with multiple cases, right? So if the contact is having 15 cases, so 15 times your process is going to update the particular contact, because 15 cases are unique case. So the process builder is going to trigger 15 times for 15 cases, and that's going to update the contact record as a parent, the same record 15 times. So when you are designing a solution, you should be mindful. It's not like just because we can do, we should not do. We should think about the performance issue and the consequence of the actions, right? What's going to happen next when I'm doing that? So they are giving this permission for some special reason and to facilitate. Just because this option is there, we should not misuse or we should not make a performance issue for the system. So when you are designing, we should be careful about these kind of concerns. So why I'm saying these scenarios is in your exams they might ask, right? So recursive update happened on this particular option after doing a process builder. What can be the reason? So you should able to think. Right? That's why we are giving this kind of scenario based conditions. It's not like this exam is not a straightforward exam. They will not gonna ask like what the process builder can do. They will ask that question with some conflicting answer, not the straightforward answers, right? And in the other, just like other exam, this exams also they will give some point scoring questions that will be look easy, but don't think with that questions you will be able to pass this exam. So you should able to think the scenario wise. That is very important as a professionals, right? Otherwise everyone who's over attempting the exam will pass, right? So you should think when we are studying about workflow rules, like, yeah, this is a workflow rule. I know I don't want it to study. Don't do like that. Just do it. Do one process builder or do one workflow by yourself. You will end up with thousands of issues, and all of the issues will be the questions, right? So that's why we are stressing on the hands-on experience, right? So here I'm not going to spend that much time because you all know. So if I give some update, it's going to update, right? And again, you can activate. Once you activate a process builder, you can't do any changes. You have to clone it and make it. So let's activate this. Right after activation, right, you can't do any changes here. So even if you deactivate, still you can't do any changes. You have to clone either as a new version of the current process or new process to in order to do the changes. That is it's not an issue. They are keeping it for the history tracking. That is one of the property of the process builder. Right now you can edit. Right, workflow not like that. You can deactivate and edit. That is something to remember when it comes to process builder and workflow rule. Right, so in the presentation I mentioned there's a place you can go and check what are the action queued, right? This is the place. So when you go to time-based workflow, right, if there are any actions, so you can just search, right? Since there's no action schedule, it's empty, but if there's any action schedules, it will display here. So you can check, okay, these are the action schedules. So you can do this as a task at home. So create a workflow, time-based workflow, and create a case and make it status new, and that create a record, right? So that will be scheduled here. Then after some time, before that particular time period, go and update. That will be removed from here. So you can do it and see this kind of hands-on you have to do it, right? So this kind of questions also will come, right? So this is for workflow rule and process builder. Before moving to approval process, do you have any questions on any of these? Okay. So I believe all of you will go and create something. So it's look easy, right? Yeah, she created and it's look easy. I don't want to study anymore. Then you can go for the exam and you will face the stress, the exam itself. Now, approval process. So as I mentioned before, the approval process handled by 5 different objects in Salesforce. So what we are seeing is just point and click. So we can choose the jumpstart wizard and we can give a name. And just like other process automation tools, you can give criteria or you can give formulas, right? So here I'm seeing, let's say if the case origin equal to phone. If we are receiving any complaints over the phone, we need to get the approval before moving forward. In that case, we can give that conditions. And just like other process, you can again add your logic and or here. And here you can choose the approval, right? So either you can submit you can choose the approval manually, if you are submitting the record for approval manually, but button click. Otherwise, you can assign the approval the hierarchy. So every user will have the hierarchy, right? So the owners manager, we can pick it, or else you can assign to the queue. So this queue and the case management, we will be studying in the service cloud session. That will be the next session for the admin folks. And for PD1 people, if I'm giving the introduction about the queue is the centralized, it's like a work bucket, right? So whenever the service company or service agents receiving complaint, before we assign to the agents, it will be going to a centralized queue. Let's say you are using a network dialog, you have a network issue, right? So you are raising a complaint. So all the complaints will go to a common queue. So from there only you will get an agent assigned based on the availability, or they might have some algorithm formula to assign, or manually they will assign. So any of the way they will assign the agent. So before they assign the records to the agents, the records will be sitting in a common bucket, that will be the queue, right? So Salesforce case management, especially the case management, service management, lead management segments, we use queues in most of the cases, right? Or we can automatically assign the approval. So you can choose a user of the system, or you can use a queue, or likewise you can select that. So when you are selecting multiple approvers, so you can here add multiple approvers, right? So, and you can select approve or reject based on the first response. If anyone approve, it's approved, or we need the approval from all the approvers. So that option also you can choose it. So let's say here, I'm going to add to myself. Okay. Right. So this is my approval process page will look like. So I can see the actions. So initial action, approval steps, rejection action, recall actions. So the moment the record is submitted for approval, record will be get locked. That means nobody can edit that record. And I can choose some actions. So I can send an email, say your request submitted for the approval. Likewise, I can send an email, or I can create a task and assign to someone. Say the request is there. Likewise, I can do a field update, outbound message. So any of the action I can do it. And approval step. So approval step, I can keep it as a single approval step, or else I can do multiple approval steps. So each and every approval step will have the approver as well as approval actions. Like it's not a mandatory to give the actions. Like if you wanted to do approval action in every step, so every step, let's say this approval should go to the 4 levels of manager. So the level 1 manager, once is approved, then it's going to automatically submit for the level 2 manager. So if you have another approval step, so in that case I can make a approval step. Like if it is approved, it should send an email to the second level manager, there's a approval awaiting, or else I can send to the approval to the user, see your approval, first level approval obtained. Likewise, you can, based on the requirement, you can do. So every approval step you can do the approval action and rejection action. So when it comes to multiple approval step, any of the step is rejected, it's going to be rejected, right? So approved only, it will go to next approval step. So after all the approval step, the final approval actions we can specify, final rejection action we can specify. If any of the approval recalled, we can specify what is the action we have to do it. Likewise, we can specify everything and we can activate the approval process. So this approval process also, you can come up with your own scenario. So you can have a bill, and bill amount is more than 5,000 to him, more than 10,000 to him, more than 15,000 to him. Likewise, you can create multiple approval steps, and you can try to use the approval process to get yourself comfortable. So that is for the approval process. Yes. Any question on the approval process? Right. Then I will take back to presentation. Right. So if you have any questions, you can ask anytime, or as we say, you can reach us separately in WhatsApp group or individual messages, or you can connect with any one of us and get it clarified. So only thing is like you have to learn it fully. That's the request, right? So the next set of area we are going to see order of execution. This order of execution you might heard in the last session also, but you can see very less number of order of execution here, but you should know. So PD1 people should know for all the order of execution. If you are following the link we are updating in the document, you will understand everything. So this order of execution, why this is matter? Right, so when you are writing something, you should know which order my process going to trigger. If you are creating a process builder, you should know when the process builder going to trigger. So let's say in this example, not in the example, not the execution order, the before trigger is firing before the workflow rule, right? If you are having action in before trigger and if you are having action in workflow rule, so you should know, okay, after this trigger only my workflow rule gonna fire. So you should align your order of the expected execution according to the order of execution, because you can't change the order of execution of the system. So based on that, you can change the way you are designing your system with the processes and code, everything, right? So when there's a issue comes, like there can be scenario wise questions. See, this is what the developer developed and this is the expectation, but this is not happening. Why? Then you can see, you can check the answers. Okay, or in order of the execution, this is going to fire before, so this is what happened, right? So likewise, in order to make the decision even in your work or in your exam, it's very important the order of the execution. So here, as I mentioned, like automation tools is only workflow rule, process builder, approved process, as flow is going to be a separate session after 3:30 today. And but I took some of the extra process from this order of the execution. So some most of the things will be covered for the admin folk in the next session. But for the PD1, you might miss that. That's why I picked those as processes here, right? So validation rule, I think we discussed in the first data modeling section. So in order to ensure the data quality, we can check the validation rule. Before triggers, PD1 people, they studied in your previous sessions, right? So system validation rule is automatically enforced one. If you make a field is mandatory, if you make some conditions in the field level, that will be system validation rule. And custom validation rule also, whatever we are creating. The next one is duplicate rules, right? Duplicate rule is wisely used rule in order to ensure the data quality. So especially when we are creating the accounts contacts, so we don't want to create the contact or account for our business users or business partner twice, right? It will give confusions. So that's why we are using duplicate rules. Duplicate rules, so what is happening when you are creating a duplicate record, it will fire a message, right? With that message, we can choose whether we just need to fire the message or we just need the user blocking that creation. So let's say if the case is contact is already there and the user is trying to create a new contact, we can give them, see, this contact is already exists, so just see whether you can be used that, or you still want to create that kind of message, or else you can say this contact is already exists, so you can't create. So anything possible with the duplicate rule, right? So if you are making the duplicate rule, if you are making the reports can be created in the duplicate rule, So you can generate report and see how many duplicate contexts in your system. Let's say you are just firing a warning message, there's existing content, but still you are allowing the users to create the content. Then with the use of reports, you can verify, and you can either merge manually, or you can delete by deleting, or you can resolve the conflict, right? So those kind of features you can do by creating duplicate rules, right? So systems has some standard duplicate rules, but you can keep it active or inactive based on your choice for the account contact leads. So when it comes to leads, duplicate rules is very important for leads, because leads are your possible customers, right? So if you are focusing on let's say if you have 5 duplicate leads, then you are treating your in your reports and all, you are treating you have 5 possible customers, but actually that is only one, right? So this will mislead your decisions and marketing falls. So in order to avoid these things, the leads duplicate rules, if you are working on a sales process, mostly 99% of the sales systems, they will enable a duplicate rules for leads, because they don't want to work on same customer multiple times, right? They don't want to calculate the lead score, uh, wrong lead score. So if you are working on a sales process, sales related project, you will be familiar with these terms, lead score, leads, and all these terms. Like, so in Salesforce, the biggest disadvantage I am seeing here is working on a same area. So if you are a sales cloud consultant or sales cloud expert, you will be working on a same system again and again. So people are missing the vast area of knowledge. That's what we prefer you to do the multiple certification. At least you can study the multiple areas, right? So everyone has to know, we can't know everything, but still maximum. Don't restrict yourself in your comfort zone. Just because I'm good in these things, don't think like I will do only this thing. This is going to be a risk for your professional life only, right? So try to do some different area projects, different area learnings, so then only your life, your professionally, you will be a strong candidate. That's something apart from the session. Yeah. So let's go to the duplicate rules. So how the system is detecting this contact is a duplicate contact. This is very important, right? So the reason is like multiple ways we can detect he is a duplicate. Some okay, none of the countries we can make it by the name only, right? So you can say some of the business, we can say, see, my database is having name, date of birth. If you are combining both, that should be unique. So some companies can claim, some companies can claim no, name, address, date of birth. So likewise, there can be multiple possible ways the company can identify duplicates, right? So that is where we are having matching rule. So duplicate rules, actually using matching rule to detect the duplicate. And what duplicate rule does is just firing the message or doing the action, blocking or warning, right? So matching rule is the one behind the duplicate rule to identify the particular record is duplicate or not, right? I'll be taking you to the system and show how the matching rule, how the duplicate rule is there, so you can see. So as you can see in the screen, the duplicate rule, you can create a duplicate rule, and you can mention the field, what are the fields you are checking, whether you want to match the blank field. So how you are going to match, is exact or fuzzy? So some of the cases we have to go for the exact. So for example, name and all, we can go for exact. But still, when it comes to name, some of the countries, they are practicing first name, middle name, last name. In that case, even for name, you can go for fuzzy. So in some other cases, you have to go for exact. So what is fuzzy mean? Those who doesn't aware, it can be like a similar things. So let's say a company, ABC Corporation, ABC Private Limiters, ABC.com. Likewise, a company ABC can have different version of the name. So in that case, we will make it fuzzy. Fuzzy mean it will avoid all the additional stuff and it will consider, okay, ABC. That means there's a possibility this can be a duplicate. Likewise, but you can't go for fuzzy for multiple. Most of the cases you can't go for fuzzy because it will mislead. So it will mislead and it will fire the message for unwanted records also. So when you are going fuzzy, just be mindful. So fuzzy is very useful when it comes to this company name, state, likewise. When it comes to those kind of areas, fuzzy will be very useful. Let's go to the system. Right. So you can go to duplicate rules. Right. So there are some standard duplicate rules. If you want, you can deactivate that also. So let me create one for contact. Right. So do I need to enforce the sharing rules or bypass the sharing rule? So those kind of things. So sharing rules as well as the security stuff we covered in the second session. So you can see, we can select the action. So you want to fire the message and allow the users to create the record, or you want to block it, right? And what is the text you want your users to see, right? And you can select compare the contact with which. So like those who has idea about Sales Cloud, the leads. So leads is the first a possible customer. So when we qualify a lead, then we can create the contact. So up to some level, after doing some marketing, after doing the campaign, you are getting the leads, and after qualifying, you will it will be created as a contact if you are moving forward with them. Otherwise we will disqualify it and we will remove it, right? So the leads are the possible contacts. That's what we have. We can take the things, and here you can see the record types of all my contact record types also visible here. So we can restrict this to a particular record type, or you can get it open for everything, right? And we can select the matching rules here, and we can create a matching rule and select which matching rule we wanted to applicable for here. So you can do multiple matching rules per for one duplicate route. That's also possible. And if you wanted to have any conditions, special condition, you can do the condition here itself, right? Similarly, you can add the logic and all the things you can do as the way you are doing for other automation tools, right? This is for duplicate rules. So the moment you enable it, so if you are creating a contact, it will show uh, duplicate contact if it is matching with the condition. So conditions, it's going to check it in matching rule. So let's create a new matching rule. So if you want to create a new matching rule, you can choose object, contact, right? You can select the matching method. So let's say if I choose the email, then it should be exact match, right? You want to match the blank field, right? Or else you want. So you can have the and condition, or else you can have our own logic or condition, or and or likewise you can have it, right? So whether you can select like name and date of birth, or name and date of birth, or name and address. Likewise, you can do that, right? So there are some more features we have here. Those things you moving forward when you are more into Salesforce, you will be understanding data.com and clean status and all this stuff. So once it comes to consultant level, you will be studying. So we will be doing bootcamp for those certifications as well, and we will be doing more knowledge sharing sessions. So we will cover those advanced topic there. So as of now, we just need to know what is duplicate rule, what is matching rule. So how, let's say if your exam is having a question, so the user is creating the contact and getting this error message. So how can a admin or developer to troubleshoot? So that you can check the duplicate rules, or you can check the code or triggers likewise. So you should know where to check what. So in order to check where to check what, you should know what are the features available. So that's why we are studying this duplicate rule, matching rule and stuff. Like these things I introduced for these things I apart from your trail mix I introduced um, in order to give you like more clarity on the context, because some not all the questions are straightforward, so you should know what are the features available in Salesforce. So the next feature we are going to see is assignment rule, right? Those who are working on service cloud projects, you should have coming with assignment rule. Even the sales cloud project, you should have comfortable with the assignment rule. So what is assignment rule? Assignment rule is assigning the owner for your record, right? So as I mentioned before, it is a service related company, if there's like thousands of cases getting created every day, it will not get assigned to the direct agents directly. It's going to store it somewhere, and agents will pick it, or someone can assign to the particular agent, or any rules. So any process can automatically assign the cases to the particular user. So whatever the case, the first thing, when something is created, who will be the owner? So especially this is happening for leads and cases, right? Who will be the owner? So lead and cases, we normally do assignment rule. So we have lead assignment rule, we have case assignment rule. So for one object, we can create one assignment rule, and we can have multiple rules into that. So if it is let's say if the case origin is phone, it should go to the phone origin queue, right? If the origin is email, then email origin queue. Likewise, we can create multiple queue. Let's say, if I get a better example, if the case reason is network issue, it should go to network queue. If the reason is new connection, then it will go to the uh, new connection queue. Likewise, we can create set of queues for each and every department or each and every segments, and we can automate, we can generate, we can automatically assign the particular case to that particular queue. Similarly, lead, right? If it is a leads for something like a sales related, then fine, okay. This is the wholesale related, then we'll go to the wholesale. If it's a retail related, we can likewise, we can based on your business requirement, we can make some queues and we can assign to the particular queue. In some of the case, we might need to assign to the users. Let's say you are developing a system for a small company where you are having only 5 users. So in that case, you can directly assign to the users, right? So based on the condition, based on some condition. So as the screenshot shows, we can have some condition. Anyway, I'll take you to a system and show the assignment rule also, right? So that is something to assign. This one thing we normally don't use it, but it's very useful for the service cloud projects, but normally sometimes we don't use it. Auto response rule. Auto response rule is like automatically sending response to the user who is submitting case or who is creating leads, right? So as of now, you might be knowing throughout this session, leads mostly involving in sales cloud process, and cases mostly involving in service cloud uh, projects. So most of the projects are hybrid projects, so sometimes they will use both. So that is how we Salesforce sales cloud, service cloud, those basic idea you might be having. So for admin folks, we have a specific session on that. For PD1 folks, if you like, you can join for gaining knowledge. That's we will let you know in future. So auto response rules. Why we need auto response rule? Because there are multiple ways we can create lead and case. So you might heard about email to case, email to lead, web to case, web to lead. So you can even have some HTML script in your other non-Salesforce systems to get the lead or case created in Salesforce, right? So web to lead, email to lead, web to case, email to case. So this kind of concept, the cases and leads automatically created in the system without interfering with the user, right? So when the case and leads created, so how we are going to give the response? because they are sending email from their inbox. They are creating case from the third party system, which is not Salesforce. So from the Salesforce system, how you are going to send a response? So that's what the auto response rule does. So when you create a case, right, you will be when the case is created, so we can tag. So if it is email to case, we know, okay, this email, the case is created. So if the contact is already there, we can have, okay, this is the contact for this, so we will capture the email. Even when we are creating web to case, we will capture some of the information. So if you want to do the auto response, we need to capture the email address, right? So when you capture the email address, when the case is created in Salesforce, auto response rule, what it will do, it will check the condition. So we will have the condition, let's say, if the origin is web, if the origin is email, do this response. In that case, system will check, yeah, there's an auto response rule. So for this case, we have to send the email to this email. So we have something called email template in Salesforce. Okay, I'll show that also. So email template, we can have a message, same message, we can dynamically merge the field from the particular object. So if you're having an email template and related to case, we can automatically merge the text from the case objects, the name and all of the whatever the information you want to pick, you can merge it, and all of the contents will be same. So when you have an email template, when the case is created, the auto response team will pick the email template and merge with the fields from the particular record and send you out. So this is kind of one of the tasks. You can do it at home and see. But remember, in your developer org, you can send only 10 or 15 emails per day. So just mindful when you are doing in your developer edition, I mean the practice environment. So then don't say like after sending 10 emails, and don't say like my emails is not going out kind of things. There are some limits in your developer org, so you should mindful of that. So try these things and you can learn. I will take you to a system and show you how to do auto response rule, right? But auto response rule, email address is important. The next rule we are going to see is escalation rule, right? Okay, before going that, the auto response rule. So I think nobody asked me the question. So the auto response rule can send email. So why the workflow rule also can send the email, right? What is the difference between the workflow rule and auto response rule, right? So when you are studying something, you have to think about that thing, right? So I'm leaving this question to you. Anyway, while doing the trailhead modules, you will understand. But I prefer if anyone read that and put the answer in the WhatsApp group, that will be really great, right? Escalation rule. So escalation rule is also one of the supporting process mostly used in a service cloud. So when the case is created, let's say you are using a telecommunication network and you raise a case, your network quality is poor, right? There's no response for 24 hours, right? So the service company, the service providers, if they wanted to be longer in market, they had to resolve the customers' queries as well as customers' concern, right? The conflict, otherwise the conflict and this case management is very much important for the service related companies, right? So in order to make the customer satisfied, the companies can make the escalation rule. Let's say the case is getting created. So if the high priority case is created, we can say within 24 hours, if nobody has changed the status of the case from new to something, then we have to send the escalation to escalation mail to the manager, or we have to move this case to the escalation queue. We can do the on and change, right? From the particular agent, we can change to the escalation queue, or else we can make them send email to the manager of the particular agent. See, this case is assigned to this particular agent, but more than 24 hours, but no response sent to the user. So the manager can look into that, or supervisor. Right. Likewise, escalation rules support the senior level people to track off the service agent's productivity, right? Remember, the service agent's productivity is very much important term for admin folks. So even for PD1, you should know what are the ways we can ease the work of the service agents as well as track the effectiveness of the service agents. Because just because you are going to do PD1, it's not like you are going to do only PD1. You have to do the consultancy exam. If you want to do the consultancy exam, admin exam is a must, right? Though you are doing PD1, you have to do admin to do the consultancy exam. So it's nothing bad on learning some more, right? So you have to know the agent's productivity, what are the factors it's involving, and how we can improve likewise, right? So the escalation rule, one of the rule for that. Okay, not a break. So I'm going to take you to the system. Right. So first we will see the assignment rule. Right, you can see lead assignment, case assignment, topics is something will come with the knowledge article. So let's not touch it now. I'm going to the case assignment rule. Let me have. Right. So you can see. So if the billing country is US or USA, so just assign to, since we don't have much users in the system, I'm assigning everything to myself only. So you can create some queues and you can assign. So this one will go to the platinum queue. This one will go to the bronze queue. So I can create a new. So I can give the sort order, criteria mate. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be back. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. So you can give some condition if the case origin is equal to phone, then you can assign to a queue or user, right? Likewise, you can do your assignment, so it will work. And if I go to auto response rule, so you can see lead, cases, campaign. So again, you can create a rule name. Test. Right, so here I can select the rule entries. What is the criteria? So you can see, like, we'll create one auto response rule, and with the multiple conditions we can redirect to multiple people. So let's say if the case is from web, then we will do some. If the case is from email, then we will do something different response, obviously, right? So when the case is from the web, we have to say thank you for reaching us, blah blah, blah thing. You got it through this system. Likewise, if it is from email, thanks for emailing us, likewise, right? So you might have better experience than that. So likewise, the condition to condition, your response should be going to be different. So you can make everything with a point and click without writing the code. You can do it easily using this. So one thing we have to focus when we are doing auto response, how your user going to get the response, right? So we need to have, every company will have some default user to send the email. So from which name, which email address you want to send the auto response to the customer. It's not necessarily agent's name or not necessarily someone's actually some worker's name. You can have a common email for your organization, and you can specify that name and that email address, right? And reply to address. So in case if you're expecting your customers to reply your auto response message, then you have to say which address you want to receive the response, right? That's also you can configure here. So I strongly suggest you to do some email to case, do the email to case in your org, and do the auto response. This kind of something new, but it's interesting to learn and do it. So you can choose the email address, right? So you can send a survey also. So I'm not going to do, because I didn't configure the user and all the things in the in this org. So I'm not going to do this auto response rule. Okay. So I think that's, is I'm missing anything? Yeah. So actually this session is planned to cover the process builder workflow, but I just don't approval process. I don't want to limit it to the up to that level, because I know these are some extra things which we need to learn, because I don't want you to lose even a single marks from the exam, as well as I want all of you to be a good Salesforce professional who knows the vast area of the Salesforce. That's why we include some of the more features. And any questions, anything on this? So anyway, you can be silent now, but as I mentioned, after 2-3 sessions, we are going to have some Q&A sessions and question and answer analysis session. That time, each and everyone has to talk. So I might question you also in the topics to understand you are learning properly or not, right? So there can be some one-to-one question session also possible. So make sure you are studying and you are comfortable on these subjects. If no questions, we can have a 10 minutes breaks and start with flows. I think Amma already joined. If any question, you can reach. I already updated the links on one sheet. I'll update to the admin sheet also. So you can go through, and I strongly recommend you to do the hands-on, make your own scenario and do the hands-on. So that will be helpful for you to uh, be a Salesforce developer by your own. You can design and you can do everything from your end. This is from your company, you might not get chances to work on these areas, right? Not everyone will get chance to work on all the areas. So treat this as an opportunity, because admin and PT1 is a very basic exam. So after that, you have to do the consultancy exams, right? So you also have to say, like, I'm 5 times certified, 10 times certified, 15 times certified, like that. So make sure you are not skipping any of the area. Okay, no more advisors. Let's have a 10 minutes break and meet for flows. introduce one of the senior Salesforce developer in Sri Lanka. So Ama was working at Virtusa. Now she is working of iTelaSoft. She has much experience in multiple companies, multiple projects, multiple areas. So she is going to conduct a session on Salesforce flows. As I explained in the morning, Salesforce flows is a future for process automation, as well as Salesforce strongly recommend to reduce the code usage and move to the Salesforce flow. So this is very important, as every one of you going to work with flow. So pay attention, and if you have any questions, you can ask her. Yeah, you can start with.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. Let me share my screen. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, Ama.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. So today I'm going to show you about Salesforce flows. This is what we are going to see. A small introduction about what's happening with workflows and process builders, and then what are Salesforce flows and the best practices for flows, and the components we have in the flows. And I'm going to demo all the flow types and some flow consideration and how to troubleshoot the flow. And finally, the limitations of using flow. And I'll share some useful resources as well. So first, as Brenda already explained, workflow rules and process builders are not going to stay after 2023. With Spring 22, the Salesforce announced that they are not going to give any update for workflows and process builders, and they are going to terminate that. And we will not able to create process builders and workflows after 2023. So Flow will be the only process automation tool in Salesforce. So it's better to learn. It's better we start to learn about Flow now itself. So what is Salesforce Flow? In Salesforce, we have a flow builder to build flows. So Flow is the most powerful automation tool in the Salesforce. It can be act as a trigger, and it also can do whatever the task we can achieve by using workflow rule and process builders. And also it will able to the flow will allow us to add screens to the that means user interface, and then flow will allow us to delete the records which is not able to do by using workflows or process builders. So that is a very powerful automation tool. As in Salesforce, we have best practices for Apex and for Salesforce, whatever the things we are doing, we have to follow best practices. For creating the flows also, we have some best practices. So few of them are, we have to, before we start to build the flow, we have to plan the flow according to our scenario. We have to think which flow we have to go with and what are the components we have to include in the flow. Those things we have to plan in advance. And then we have to create, and after creating the flow, we have to test the flow. And as if you are Salesforce developer, you may aware that we should not hard code IDs within our Apex classes and triggers. So as similar to that, inside flow also, we should not hard code IDs. And we have to save the flow regularly. Whenever we add a new component, we have to save the flow immediately. Otherwise, if the page is refreshed or if we close the flow, the component will disappear. We will lose the newly added component. And if our flow going to cover different paths, we have to test all those paths. Like if it is for example, if we are going to trigger the flow, do one of the tasks when the case status is new, And also in the same flow, if we are going to do another task when the case status is in progress, we have to test all those two different paths as well. So next we'll see what are the types of flows in Salesforce. If someone already go and try to create a new flow in Salesforce, you may see this window. These are the flow types available in Salesforce. We can categorize these 5 types of flow into basically into 2 different types. One is the screen flow. It is not an auto launch flow, but the other 4 flows, that is record trigger flow, schedule trigger flow, platform event trigger flow, and auto launch flow with no trigger. All these can be categorized as auto launch flow. So we'll see some more details about the flow types. Here I have given it as a summary. So in screen flow, it is I mentioned it is not the auto launch flow. To trigger it, we have to use a lightning page or a button or a action. That means a user action have to be take place to trigger the screen flow. Main specialties in the screen flow, we have a screen component. That means we can give a user interface. We can build a user interface without any coding by using the screen flow. You can think about the registration form as an example for the screen flow. And then the auto launch flow with no trigger. Even though it is a auto launch flow, it work as a subflow. We have to call it by using a lightning page or a button or action or any other flow or a process builder. It will run in the backend without any, it will be a backend process. We can trigger by using any other process or any other flow or Apex class. So example is we can use it as a subflow. Then we have the record trigger flow. It will launch or it will auto launch based on the update or change happen to the record. That means the creation of record, updating the record, deleting the record, creating and updating the record. Based on those things, the record trigger flow will trigger. It is the replacement of workflow and process builder, and it will be more flexible. So for this example, as an example, you can think of updating an account when a case is closed. And then the schedule trigger flow. As it is a scheduled one, this will trigger automatically when the schedule time is met. So here the specialty is it will run based on the scheduled time and also as a batch action that can update multiple records or send multiple emails. So you can think that as a use case. And then the platform event trigger flow. It is launched by the platform event message received. As soon the platform event message received, this platform event trigger flow will launch. Here the specialty is it will execute as the follow-up action when as a part of the platform event. That means if any platform event occur, we can send some notification email that can be think as a use case for the platform event triggered flow. Anyway, we are going to demo all those flow types. Next, we'll see what are the flow components. Here, the flow components can be categorized as logical, data, and interaction component. The logical component in a flow are assignment, decision, loop, collection, sort. These are the main logical components in the flow. And for the data component, we have create record, update record, delete record, and get record. And for the interaction, we have screen, action, subflow. And you have to remember the screen interaction is available only, the screen component is available only in the screen flows. Okay, next. As I already mentioned, screen flow is to add an user interface. User interface to get the input or select the record available in the UI. We can use the user interface. it can be triggered by using a button or action or lightning page or the utility bar. And we can collect information by creating the user interface on one screen, and we can save multiple objects behind the screen by using the screen flow. I'm going to demo the screen flow with the platform event trigger flow. So let's next we'll see what is the platform event. In order to know the platform event trigger flow, I will give a brief introduction about platform event, because as Brenda mentioned, you will have a session separately for platform event in future. So platform event, it is based on the event driven architecture to communicate within and outside of the Salesforce. And this platform event we always work on publish and subscribe model. As a publish and subscribe model, it use message bars to message events and process and apps listening to them. So this platform event we can think as a near real time integration. So in the platform event, one thing I want to say, to publish the platform event, we can use Apex class, process, or work flow, and then API we can use to publish. And for subscribe, we can use Apex class and also platform event trigger flow we can use to subscribe the platform event. So in the platform event trigger flow, you can do all your automation for the what should happen after the platform event message received. Here is how the platform event the flow looks like. Let's see this both of the screen flow and the platform event trigger flow in a demo. Here I have selected the small business scenario, that is to collect and store candidate information in Salesforce and send an email to the respective candidate looking for the job. This is our business scenario, and to solve this, we have to create a platform event, and then a custom is object we need to store the job data, job search data, and then we need a screen flow. I am using this screen flow to get the data for the job, get the user input for the job inquiry, and also to publish the event. To publish this platform event, I'm using this screen flow here in this scenario, and I'm using a platform triggered flow to subscribe the event and send the email to the candidate. So let's go to our developer org and we'll see how we can do this using screen flow and the platform event triggered flow. Okay, can you see my developer org? Can anyone respond?
Yes.
Okay, so now first for the business scenario, first we need a platform event. So go to the setup and type event. We are going to create a platform event. This is similar to creating a custom object, but instead of custom __ c, the platform event will represent as __ e. And okay, for this scenario, I'm going to give the label as job search, and then keep this publish behavior as itself and the deployment status as deployed. And now I need some fields to store the employee name, the candidate name, email, phone, and job title, something. So for this event, I'm going to create some fields. If you see for platform event, we have only few data types. So I'm going to create only text types. Name field, and then we will create an email field. Next, to store the phone number, that also I'm going to. And then I need to get the job title, which job they are looking for. So okay, fields are created. Now I need to create a custom object as well to store whatever the data we are getting from the platform email. So for that, I'm going to create the custom object. Okay, I'm going to give that object name as job inquiry. I'm going to allow. And then I'm going to add a tab as well for the object. I think you guys are already aware about these custom object things. So I move past. Now for that object also I need the fields similar in that event. The name field, email field, phone field, and the job title field I'm going to add, because we are getting those from the user via the screen flow. And the final field is job title. It is a test field. Okay. Now our event and object is done. Now let's create the flow. First we are going to create the screen flow. Go to the setup and type flow and go to flows. Then do you have any question? If not, okay. So this is the screen I already show. As soon we click on the new flow, we are getting this screen. So I'm going to create the screen flow first. So in the screen flow, we need to add the screen. Here, I wanted to show something. As soon you go to the new flows, create flows. In the this is a new I created today morning, so we don't have to select between the two layouts. Otherwise, you will have there are two layouts. So this is the latest layout called auto layout form. So here first we are going to add this screen, and I'm going to give a label to the screen. And we can remove these buttons or rename the buttons if you want from here. Okay, I'm going to keep like this. And then for input, I want to add a test field to get the name. We have the name field as well, but for this scenario, I want to add the all full name. So I'm going to put it as a simple test field and make it quick. Yeah. And for the email, I'll get the email field itself. And I'm making that field also as a required field. And then we'll get the font field. That also will make as a required field. And in the phone numbers, you can give the patterns, which pattern you have to follow for the phone number. You can try that as a homework after the session. And another test field to get the job title. Making it as a required field as well. So we have created our screen. Now after creating the screen, I'm going to save my flow. I gave a long name because I'm going to use this screen flow to publish the event. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a record for the event. Here we can select whether how to set the value. We can get the record by ID, or else we can get the record by object. So I want to get the record by object. See, as I mentioned for event, we have the underscore e. And now I'm going to assign values to the fields. Assign values to the fields in the event by using the whatever the data we are getting from the script. And then we can add fields. And here, as I use the existing email field, we have to get the value of that field. It is that email field is a lightning component already given by Salesforce. And for the phone also, it is similar. Okay, it is done. So this is how we are going to do the create our stream flow. The main component in stream flow is the stream, which is not available in any other flows. And here we can add the resources. For this flow, I didn't add any resources, but in upcoming flows, I will show adding the resources. And Here, I want to show something. These are the flow elements. See the interaction elements, logic elements. I saw assignment, decision loop, collection short, and other than a new one collection field also available. And for data, create record, update record, get record, delete record. Those are and the rollback record also newly available for the data. And if you want to create resources, there are like a variable type, constant type, formula type, this kind of type. We can create record record choice set, tick list choice set, and collection choice set. Those also we can create. And in the variable also there we have the data types. What are the types? We can create test type. Record type means the object type, and apex define these kind of variables, and we can create resources to be used in the flow by using this new resource. And now I'm going to, okay, I'll show to debug the flow. We can click the debug button to debug this flow. As we are using a screen, flow screen, just we will get the given email ID. Here I didn't validate or I didn't give any pattern for the phone, but if we give the pattern, if we didn't follow that, it will show an error. Okay, I'm going to give. And now we submit. See here, you can see what happened. The record, create record also executed, and the transaction was there. That is how we can debug our flow. So, and now we have to activate the flow. Here, see, you can select the old version also from here, free for. This is something changed from the Spring 22, I guess. So now let's go back to the flow setup and flow, and we'll create a platform event trigger flow. Again, go to new flow and select platform event trigger flow. Here, what we are going to do is we are going to subscribe to the platform event by using this platform event trigger flow. First, I'll show the. Let's go back to our event. Here, if you see the subscription, there is no subscription currently. After we add the platform event trigger flow for our platform event, we will see the subscription. First, as a best practice, remember to save the flow whenever you do any changes. Now, here what I'm going to do is first I want to we are getting the data from the platform event, and we're going to create the record in the job inquiry object. So again here I'm going to select the object job inquiry, and then going to assign the values from the platform event. That means the platform event is the record we are getting from the flow. Going to assign values to the fields in the object. Okay. After that, okay, save, remember to save again. And then we need to send an email to the candidate. So for that, we can use select an action. Here in the action, you can select email action. And here, select the send email. Mm. Okay, here we have to provide the email body. So I'm going to create, I'm going to add a new resource. From the component element itself, we can go and create the new resource, or else we can create the new resources here and we can use that from this. But now I'm going to use this plus button and I'm going to add the new resource. I'm going to add the test template. Mm. So I'm going to make it a plain test, and here what I'm going to give a small body. I'm going to get the record name, and then this you can create the body as per the requirements. I'm just simply creating something. Okay, do something like that. And then after that, we need to give a subject. I'm going to type the subject like and then email address. I'm going to get from the event, that is a record and the email. And next, we need the sender address. For that, to store, I store the sender address in a label. This is what I have done. For now, I'll without adding the sender address, we'll save. What I did is go to the label. We can use the organization wild address if it is there, but in my org, I didn't enable organization wild address. So what I did is I created a custom label which is stored the sender address. I gave my personal email address. So I'm going to use that as the sender address here. So first you have to select the label and then send out. Okay, now let's save this and activate this. And now we need to go and say available. The subscription is there. Now we need to add a page or something. I'm going to add a page for this. I'm going to create an app page to follow flow. I mean the screen flow. I'm going to launch that using an lightning page. I'll name it as job search. I don't need so many columns, so I go with the one region. And next, add the flows. Okay. Now we'll save this. Activate this. I'm not going to change that and finish. I'll go back. So here in our Lightning Experience window, click on the app launcher and select for the job search. Okay. So this is how our screen flow. You can add some. I mean, no, you can make it complex, more complex. I gave it in a very simple way for easy in order to understand it easily. Okay, I'm going to give my name and my mobile email. And then the phone number. The title I gave as a developer. And then we are going to submit this. And we'll see whether I get the email. We receive the email. The fields were mapped as how we gave. And now we'll see the job inquiry object to know whether the record is created. See, the record also got created. This is how we can use screen flow and also a platform event trigger flow. Do you understand it, or do you have any question regarding screen flow or platform event trigger flow? Or else we can move on. If you have any question, please ask. Otherwise, we'll move on. So after the platform event triggered flow and the screen flow, I have added the auto launch flow because for my next demo, I'm going to show how we can use an auto launch flow with the record triggered flow. Here in the auto launch flow, it cannot invoke by itself. It can be invoked by any other Apex class or a flow or API call out, and also by using a process builder. This will launch automatically based on this specific event or condition, and it will provide we can define the complex process to be carried out in the background without any user knowing the details. This is how the auto launch flow looks like. The auto launch flow similar to the flows I have demo. Here the changes wording is auto launch flow is given here, and the way we use it is different. So next is the record triggered flow. It was introduced from the initially in the Sprint 20 release as the first wave flow, but now we can use even record trigger flow for the create record, update record, create and update and delete after and before for both the scenarios. And instead of using the trigger, we can use the record trigger flow, and also for instead of using workflows process builders, we can go with the record trigger flow. Only if we cannot achieve something using the record trigger flow or the flows, then only we have to go with the coding. So This is our record figure flow looks like. Now we'll see that both the auto launch flow and record figure flow in a scenario. Here I have selected a small scenario. Here what happen is when the scenario is when a new opportunity created with the type equal to new customer. First we need the opportunity stage to be updated as qualification, and then we need the task to be created assigned to the opportunity owner to call the customer to get more details. This can be done by using an auto launch flow and a record figure flow. When the opportunity created with the type equal to new customer, we are going to call our auto launch flow as a subflow within the record figure flow. And in the auto launch flow, we will update the opportunity stage and create the task. So let's go back to our developer org and we'll see how we can achieve that. So here, again, I'm going to going to the flows. And first I'm going to create the auto launch flow. Click on the new flow. And select the auto launch flow. Why I'm creating the auto launch flow first is because I want to use that as a sub flow in the record figure flow. So this is how the auto launch flow start is look like. And then we need to first update the opportunity stage to qualification. But before that, we need to get the opportunity records from the record figure flow. So for that, I'm going to create a record variable, record type variable to store the opportunity record. The object type is opportunity. And we are getting it here. This available outside of the flow. That means if the variable values we are getting from outside, we have to mark it available for input. If we are sending it to outside, we have to mark it for available for outside. And if you have to get a collection of the records, you have to make it available for multiple values. So now I'm going to keep it as this, and then going to save. We will get this warning as we save without any component. So now we are going to add an update record component because we are going to update our opportunity, which we are getting from our record figure flow. And again, I'm not going to get from the ID. I'm going to specify the object. And I'm going to do here opportunity record ID. And I'm going to update this page as qualification. So it's done. Again, save. And then after updating the stage, we have to create a task. So for that, again, I'm going to create a record. Yeah, again, the task object. here I'm going to give the activity date as the current date in the flow. You can select flow current date to give the current date. And then the requirement want us to assign the opportunity owner for the task as this task owner. So I'm going to add the owner. And then we have to give a subject to the task. And then we have to give, we can give the what ID, which object which this is related to. So for that, I'm going to give the opportunity record ID. And finally, I'll give a description for the task. Some description like okay. Now I'm going to. So that's it. That is what I'm going to do in my auto launch flow. Just updating the opportunity state and create the task. But this flow will launch by using the record trigger flow. So we'll go and create the record trigger flow. This record trigger flow. Oh, you may notice as soon we click the record trigger flow, we get this screen, which was not available in other flows. So here we have to select the object for which object this flow going to trigger, and these are the trigger actions. The trigger, the flow can be triggered when the record is created, or the record is updated, record is created to update, or record is deleted. As the scenario is to do the action based on the record is create, I'm selecting the record create, and we have to check the type, opportunity type equal to new customer. Then here the past field update, we can use this to update the same opportunity. But here we are not going to update the same opportunity from this flow. We are going to call the subflow. So I'm going to select these actions and record related record. This can be used to update any other related record and also any other action. So click done and save the flow. Okay, give a name, and then how we can call this subflow is we have the introduction as subflow in the record trigger flow. Here we can select our auto launch flow and give a label. And then here we have to pass the opportunity record. That means the record we are getting. We are going to pass the record itself, not the ID. We are going to pass record as itself. So this is what we are going to do from our record trigger flow for this scenario. Not only record trigger flows, not only for this kind of simple scenarios, we can do many complex scenarios using this record trigger flow. But for this demo, I use the small scenario so that I can demo both the flows. You can try different whatever you are trying to do from using workflow or process builder, you can try by using the record trigger flow. Now we'll activate and we'll create a new opportunity and we'll see whether our flow is going to work or not. We'll go to the app and select opportunity and we'll create a new opportunity. I'm giving a flow state and opportunity name. And then I'm going to set this stage as prospecting. And we have to set the opportunity type as new customer. Then only our record trigger flow will trigger. We'll see after save what will happen. Okay, now go to the detail. Stage. I have given this stage as prospect, but it was updated to qualification. And we'll see whether the task is created. Yeah, the task also got created from this. And we want to see the owner. It is assigned to the same owner of the opportunity. See? That's what the business scenario we selected was asking us to do. Do you have any question regarding that? Or so far, whatever I have mentioned, do you have any question? Or else we can move to the last flow type I have selected. We have is the scheduled trigger flow. I have given it as our last scenario, last flow type. So here the scheduled trigger flow we can trigger that scheduled trigger flow will trigger on a specific time. The time we have to set at what time it should trigger, whether it should trigger once or daily or weekly. That those things we can set in the here. If you see set schedule in the start window itself, it has the set schedule, and we can choose the object. We can the schedule trigger flow can be used as a batch job to update multiple records based on the criteria given at a particular time. And here the batch limit also available, also similar as the batch apex. That means the maximum limit is 200 records. So here this is also an auto launch flow. We know here the difference is no any user interaction. There is no need of any user interaction to run this flow. So let's see a demo scenario. Very small, very easy to understand scenario. Again, I have chosen for scheduled trigger flow as well. What we are going to do is we are going to update the case status to working if the case status was new for more than 1 week. And to solve that, we are going to use the schedule trigger flow. Let's go back to our here. Okay, again, we are going to create a flow. That is the schedule trigger flow. We have to set a schedule time, but before that, go and check your organization company. Go to the company information and check whether the organization time is our correct time, because otherwise I will do a time and we have to wait. I have set it to Asia Colombo time, so we can go with our current time. So I'm going to select date as today, and I'm going to make it done by 45, maybe 48. We'll see. And once, and the object is the case object. and we have to check whether the case status is new. And I'm going to save this. Um, okay, and then I'm going to add the formula field to see the case last modified date. But as this org is a new org, I have created the separate field, date field in the case object to use instead of the last modified date. But for the real scenario, if your org has 1 week earlier than 1 week record, you can use the last modified date. Normally, we have to use the last modified date field, but just to be demo, I created a new field and add values greater than week. Okay. Week formula. Yeah, I'm going to get the indicates this working date is the field I have created and -7. And then save. And what I want to do is I want to decide whether should be let's not be right before a week. You can get the here use the last modified date, but as I don't have old record, I'm using this in the formula, and I have to select the date is lesser than or equal to week. So here I have to update the case status. Okay. You can add the any other in the decision. You can add some other conditions as well. But for this here, you can add the other conditions as well. But for this scenario, I have used like that, and I'm going to save this. We can activate it and see if the cases get updated, but we have to wait 1 minute. But other than that, I can debug and see. Okay, I'll debug in the that mode. Here's something done wrong. Here I forgot to inform. Flows also similar to process builder. After we activate, we cannot save the same flow. We have to create a new version of the flow. So we'll save as here the timing we have to change. And then activate. And we see this. Okay. These are the record got updated. So we'll go to our cases. In the system. So we have to specify the default flow using the process automation settings. That's why there is showing. If this flow runs well, this status should have update, but yeah, see, it was updated to working. So that's all I have to demo for today. Now let's see what are some considerations about the flows. Here, flow can access data only if the running user have the permission to access those fields. And also, in case if the flow tries to update a field that is not editable, the flow gets fails, but we can avoid that by using by enabling filter inaccessible fields in the process automation settings. And then in a create, update, or delete data transaction, if we attempt to do a external attempt to access the external data in the same transaction, the flow fail, and so instead of calling external data in the same transaction, we have to access the external data in a separate transaction. And then if the user session expired, in progress flow interviews get interrupted, especially for the screen flow. Whatever the data we are giving will roll back, but the chatter post and record manipulations, those kind of actions will not roll back. And next we'll see how we can troubleshoot the flow. If a flow get failed, Salesforce will send an error to the error email, which includes all the data regarding the flow and what are the record, what are the action took place, and where it fails. By using that error email, we can troubleshoot and fix the issue. If there is something we have to fix in the flow, we can fix by using that error email. Or else, if it is a data issue or if it is a user issue, we can explain then that is why this flow was failed. There are some few limitations of using flows. Flow will come under the Apex transaction governor limits. So if the flow exceeds the governor limit, complete transaction will roll back, even though we use the fault part, whole transaction get rolled back. So we have to keep that in mind. And also flow have usage based entitlement, that we have to check the flow usage in the company information to see how many flow interviews are allocated per month. So that's all about the flows, and these are some helpful resources I will put in the chat, or maybe I'll send this to Brenda. She will share with you. So is there any question? Hello. Guys, are you there?
Yes, Ama. So, guys, do you have any questions for Ama? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. As always, you guys are silent. Guys, asking question is very important, right? Like then only you guys will be able to clear your confusions and any concerns which will ultimately help you to do the exams in a good way. Okay, I will take your silence as there is no questions. So thank you so much, Ama, for allocating the time and you putting efforts to make this session a successful one. And we really enjoy the session on flows, especially the fundamentals of the Salesforce automations. Thank you so much, and we'll be looking forward to work with you in the future as well. We got a message. One second. Okay, that's yours.
No, that's the links I just shared.
Yes. Thanks. And thank you so much, Amma. And we will be, in touch with you in future sessions as well. And guys, thank you so much for joining today. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions in the WhatsApp group or in any other social media channels. And please do the relevant tailhead modules and stay on track to do the exams by March or April, where we will be providing the free certification vouchers to the eligible candidates. So you are preparing for the certifications is very important, because we will be providing the certification vouchers who are the people getting the marks or good marks in the mock exams. So please stay on track and try to do the modules and try to clear your questions from any blogs or by contacting us or whatever channels you are preferred, but stay on track. Once again, thank you, Amma, and thank you so much, guys. Feel free to drop your questions if you have anything, and we will be conducting our next session in next weekend as well. We will keep you posted in our social media channel, guys.
Okay, guys.